stormed the stage, right? And all these people came running onto the stage, and we're like,
oh no,
hit me baby one more time, and the whole stage collapses, like it all collapses. You know, you can just MC it, just do your stuff that you've done tonight.
Sure, you'll be fine.
Exactly. I've winged it for 16 years after that. Anyway, I wake up the next morning and I was saying to my wife, I'm like, this is amazing. But when I woke up, I was like, oh yeah. Oh. And my wife's like, oh, what's going on with your voice? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you're not talking.
That was their first thing.
But I think people don't know. They don't know the logistics.
It's like joke theft and stuff is, it's such a, it's horrible. Like you do what you create yourself. That's the art, and people just don't get that.
Exactly.
But Chubby Brown.
I didn't.
Did you not know?
No.
Yeah.
So I went to this bloke. I was in one of my jovial moods. I was like, oh, got tears on your face, have you? Are you really sad? 3 tears on your face. And everyone else in the crowd is like this. Oh. And I'm like, ooh.
Oh no.
Even worse. Right. So, good evening. Yeah. Telford, Derby, Manchester. Yeah, my name's Ricky. What's your name, mate?
Yeah,
and
it
it's
goes
just
straight
like, oh
to,
my God, why? And they just
trying to achieve. Whether I will or not, I don't know. In my head, it works really well, but you know, we'll see. We'll see.
That's the most intelligent you've ever sounded on this podcast.
Is it?
Yeah.
Thanks
Does
for bringing
that
that out
mean
of
I'm
me,
dull
man.
as fuck?
No, that means you're bringing out the best in me, mate. Yeah, he took my sticks off me. I have never felt so unstable. Go into it. No, don't go in. You know what I mean.
Go into it, right. Because my legs.
Lean
like
into
this.
it, mate. Lean into it.
Lean
Right.
into the big dick. I love it.
Welcome to another episode of the Unstable Podcast with me, Ricky Balshaw. And I'm joined today by, actually, he probably doesn't know this, and I'm probably going to make him feel really awkward and self-conscious now, but someone that I really respect in the game and have done since day one, Stevie Gray.
Thank you. That's a lovely welcome. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I really mean that. Before we get into things, look into either that camera or this camera and tell them who you are, what you do, and just a little intro, mate.
So my name's Stevie Gray. I've been a stand-up comedian for about 18 years now. Met Ricky a couple of years back at the start of his journey. I can often be found these days hosting a show, sometimes promoting my own shows. But again, quite easily, happily, opening shows, headlining shows. But yeah, pretty much been on the circuit for years.
Yeah, and it's Flat Cap Comedy, isn't it?
Flat Cap Comedy is the name of the company. Hence the Flat Cap.
On brand today, on brand.
Never take it off.
I love it. Now, I really appreciate you coming in, man. You've been on my list of people that I want to get in for a while. It's never good, is it, being on a comedy list?
No,
but
never.
This is a good list to have been on. I've wanted to get you on for ages because, as I've said, like I really have respected and looked up to you since day one.
Thank you,
and I'm not just saying that. I love your style. I love your presence on stage. I love your interaction. I've been a big fan of yours for a long time.
Yeah, because I think I saw you at one of your first ever gigs.
Probably, yeah. Because where did we first meet?
There was a few.
There was a lot of early doors.
Sheffield, Chesterfield way. Greg Phillips, Laugh Cake.
Yeah. Greg was really good to me. We're going to get him on at some point. He was really good to me early doors. So I did my first gig at the Bush.
Yeah,
we've mentioned that so many times on this
for
podcast.
West Midlands.
Yeah. And then I think gig number 3 was one of Greg's for Laugh Cake, and I had an absolute banger. And I used that video, and that video got me so many gigs after that.
Yeah.
So I did a lot for Greg around the area, sort of early doors. Like even though I'm from Telford, like in the West Midlands, I did a lot in the East Midlands. So I was very much part of the East Midlands scene, and that's where we obviously met. And I was really looked up to you from day one. Yeah, and I'm not just saying that because you sat on the sofa. It's true.
It took you 2-3 years to overtake where I am. What's taken me 18 years?
No, I don't.
Flying, mate.
I'm doing all right. I do okay. But I feel like I've hit a bit of a. I don't want to. This podcast should be about you, not me. But I feel like I've hit a bit of a. Well, it feels like I'm gone a bit stationary, but I've looked at it and I haven't. So I did go quite quickly early doors, and I'm not saying that arrogantly. I sort of flew through the open mic circuit, but I was doing 5 or 6 a week, and then so I was like moving quick, and then I was getting into the middles, and then and sort of going. But because now I've got to the stage where like I'm doing all the clubs, it has felt like for the last year that I've gone a bit static. But then I've looked at my diary, and actually I'm not, because while I'm still playing the same clubs, I've gone from middling to opening to closing to doubling. So actually, while it's felt a bit static, if I look at it on paper, it has still moved forward, but it's been a real weird headspace for me to be in.
From my point of view, because I promote shows and I book shows and I've seen you from an open spot, but you are still in your open spot 20 minutes. Like people who you started with, your contemporaries, are just moving out of their open spot material and moving into paid middles, and you're closing the comedy store, but your 20 minutes is still formed of that stuff that you started out with. Yeah. This is going to be terrifying when you start writing this stuff that isn't your open spot stuff. And I mean that with the greatest of sincerity. No. Yeah. It's like we've not seen the best of you yet. So you've got so far to go because you've like smashed it with your first real 20 minutes. Yeah, well,
before I'd started, I did a lot of work with Jim Howarth. And sort of worked the doors of his gigs, like literally letting people in and out, doing the tickets, just so I could watch comedians at that level. And you know the lineups. We're talking top level club comics at his nights and TV acts. And I've spent a lot of time talking to them, and they gave me the advice like, look, get your material and then just keep punching it up, get your set, keep punching it up. And that's what I've done. So I've kept my initial sort of skeleton, let's call it, and just rather than thinking of a brand new bit and a brand new bit and a brand new bit and changing, I've got that 20 as punchy as I can. And we've spoke recently, I've just sort of started writing brand new stuff to, start doing longer stuff and
because
Edinburgh shows.
We've spoke off camera many times about this, but it's when you're doing your hour and you're Edinburgh, it's the emotions. People want to see you. Don't get me wrong, your jokes are great. And you've got an audience for that. But when you're doing an hour, you got to take the onus off the audience, and they want to know what happens inside Ricky Balshaw. Like, what do you feel in your brain? What do you feel in your heart? And your backstory is incredible.
There's a lot I could go into. I'm calling this my debut hour, although I did try to do an hour. On my second year of comedy, I booked a venue at Leicester, and I booked it for an hour and learnt within the first 10 minutes that I was not ready for an hour. And ended up finishing the show about 36 or 38 minutes in.
Still good.
And just fucked it off because I learnt very quickly that an hour, it's not, I can't do a club set for an hour. Do you know what I mean? And I was trying to do it clubby for an hour, and I didn't have the highs, I didn't have the lows, I didn't have the underlying story arc, I didn't have all this. It was just random club stuff that I tried to hatch together and added little bits into what was then my set, and it just failed. It was a train wreck.
That's like my Edinburgh hour. That was just an hour of club stuff. It was an hour. It's like I've been going about 12 years when I did my Edinburgh show. But that was like 12 years of things I'd run through the clubs, because I knew if I'm spending 10 grand in Edinburgh, I'm not having a second of this that I don't trust, that I don't know I could put in any room. And but like you say, I would hit it 100 miles an hour, and then that's why I carry a flask, because my voice goes so easily. Because when you're trying to do a club set over an hour, 30 days running.
I do love that about you. Whenever I turn up at a gig, I know there's going to be a flat cap and a flask. And maybe a guitar.
Mikey, producer in the corner, he met me probably the first day of the Flask, because the gig, his partner Kimmy was doing a gig in Wolverhampton, and I actually lost my voice completely. So it was there as a kind of miracle. I'll tell you what, I love Wolverhampton, but it's not the kind of place where you want to lose anywhere where you can't scream for help.
And in Wolverhampton, there's a high chance you're going to need to scream for help.
Right? Exactly. But it got me a joke, because I've been using this on stage, but the bare bones of the joke was I had this flask, and it was in the gay village in Manchester. So, and there was a Disney themed bottomless brunch going on.
Of course there was.
And everyone's in the smoking area dressed as Disney princesses or Disney princes. But so it was loads of stuff happening. And the bouncer came into the green room and he's like, "Oh, what's that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's a flask with honey, lemon and ginger." And he just went, "That's the gayest thing I've ever seen." But in the act now, I'm trying my best to come up with a way of what would be the gayest thing you've ever seen.
I mean, I came from the dressage team, mate. I've seen a lot.
So I'm playing with that now to try and work out, right, how much can I get away with, you know, and then say, but I was chatting with Nick Page, amazing storyteller, the other day.
Love Nick.
And he was telling me, he was saying, because I was saying, I walked past people dressed as Elsa and Anna, the princesses from Frozen, and they were like snogging each other. And he was like, oh, it's turning a bit more pornographic than funny. So make them men with great big beards, you know? And it's like, it's one of these. I think you saw me when I was doing my son's birth story when I very first started, which started off as 5 minutes and ended up as a 15-minute long story. Yeah. Because comics, when you're doing something that other comics kind of like, they will come up to you and say, oh, have you ever tried doing this? Yeah. And then you end up and you're like, at the start, I'd always be like, oh, no, if someone's offering me stuff, no, I just want to write everything myself. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, no, if they're offering me advice, you take it. Take it. Yeah. I feel this...
Yeah, but sorry to interrupt you there. Also, what I thought, when I first started and people were giving me sort of advice and stuff, I'd almost take it as a bit of an insult. Like, oh, they don't think what I've done is good enough. But actually... it's the total opposite. If there's a comic there that's willing to give you the time, think, oh, have you tried it? It's because they like the bit and they want to help it grow and improve. Exactly. It's the total opposite of how I first took those type of words, if you get me, when I didn't know.
Yeah. But, yeah. I'm forgetting his name, but there's an old Scouse comic. I used to come on and there was a newspaper story I used to do. And I used to have a copy of the newspaper just in case the audience didn't believe me. And he was like, you don't have to prove it. You know, he's like, it doesn't have to be fact. You know, you could just make it up. Say, I saw this story the other day. He said, because you've got a newspaper that big. He's like, how are the people like 200 places back going to see that? You know, they're not.
And I think it's like, never let the truth get in the way of a good gag. Like your story about your son's birth, it started off as a few minutes and now is expanded into this 15-minute bit. And it's like, you can just add little bits in, you can add little segues. And that's why I'm really enjoying and excited about writing this hour. Yeah. Because I know the skeleton of it, I know sort of where it's going to go. Although after speaking to you the other day, as we mentioned off camera, it's changed slightly. But it's nice because I've got the skeleton and I'm really enjoying the idea of just sort of going off on these little tangents and what was I thinking there and why was I thinking that and what could have happened there, what didn't happen and what did, and just going off on these little weird extra things. And by the time you've gone there, the story's down here somewhere, trying to loop back to it. I'm really enjoying the sort of, it sounds so wanky, but the artistic approach to it. It's such good fun.
This is talking shop. This is what I listen to podcasts for, all this kind of stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah. What's your process like? Let's say you've got an idea. Something happened to you on the way here, let's say, and you said, right, I can turn that into a bit. What's your process? Because I know what mine is, and I've not met many people that do it like I do. So what do you do?
So I always think you need the funny thing in the first place. So you need to think, what would be the funny part? Yeah. And then kind of reverse engineer it to get to the punchline bit. Yeah. I remember trying new stuff once, and Tom Wrigglesworth was also on the bill. Okay. And he came up to me afterwards and says, you know, whenever I'm doing a new bit, I like to start by thinking, what is the actual joke in this? Which makes you think, oh shit, I've just said something terrible.
So basically, I've just waffled for 6 minutes without a punchline. Yeah. Love that. Yeah. So for me, like, you know, I don't want to give you know, our viewers are not huge, so I'm not going to burn the material. But my pirate joke. Yeah. So I'll use that as an example. So when I've got the story. So the true story of that is we were down in Devon and we went down to the beach at about midnight, and there were these guys from Cambridge who had made their own ketamine. And there was a guy who thought he was a pirate and he kept going round shouting, "Why is the rum always gone?" That is the inspiration for my pirate bit. Yeah. So now, because you know the joke and you know where it came from, the difference is mad. But it did start out as initially, I think there's a video of it somewhere where I actually say we're at a caravan site in Devon, like the first little rendition. And then I sort of worked at it. But when I first did it on stage, it was at a Greg Phillips night. I had the start. Yeah. I had a bit in the middle that I wanted to do, and I had the ending. Those are the 3 points that I had, and I went on stage deliberately without a plan and just freestyled on stage and how to get there. Did that 3 or 4 times, and probably by about the 6th time is when I got it.
Nice.
To where it was, yeah. Just pure trial and error at little open mic nights.
Yeah, that is
crazy.
I
love going on stage without a plan. Like, I love comparing. Do
you do that often where you just go on and just freestyle the idea?
If for new bits, I mean, I haven't written anything brand new for a while. I've been punching up stuff but I've not written a new story for quite a while until recently. But yes, I will do that. So I've got my skeleton of the show, and I'll sort of break it down into bits, and I'll have an idea of the first part, and I will freestyle. I'll go to the bush and I will have a beginning, middle and end, and then freestyle the 4 or 5 minutes in between and just see how I get there the first time I do it. Hi guys, do me a favour and go across to patreon.com/Ricky's Unstable. The first 1,000 members are just £1 a month for the lifetime of your membership. You get bonus content, you get early access and all the fun from Ricky Balshaw's Unstable. See you there.
One thing I was going to say is, because you say some quite horrific things.
Yep.
And I used to, and then I realised if I stopped doing that, I'd get booked a lot more. But if you ever notice, whenever I do it, it's never me saying it. So if I ever need to say anything which is slightly controversial, I'll always say, I met this person who
put the onus on.
Yeah, put the words in the mouth of someone else, and then build them a character. You watch someone like Kevin Bridges, who's just incredible. He's got his characters, and he can return to them, and you know what their values are.
Yeah,
I need to work on that, but I also think you could get away with a lot more. Yeah, if it's not you saying it.
I do say some horrific stuff on stage. I do say some horrible stuff, and maybe I could get away with more. Yeah, by adding characters in. You're right.
What made you? What I was going to ask, what made you choose that? Because I went down that path. Where it's. How offensive can we be?
I went down that route because of my disability. Excuse me, because of my disability and my stature. I know that A, I'm not imposing on stage, and B, I can look quite vulnerable. So I kind of wanted to do the total opposite of that, because I knew that I was going to potentially be a target of hecklers and stuff like that. So A, I love dark humour. Like, that's the stuff that makes me laugh. And I also wanted to go on stage and sort of hit them straight away with the total opposite of what they're seeing.
Okay.
So that was the idea behind it. And then sort of as I've sort of learnt more, it kind of helps me, especially comparing. Because if we take the likes of, I don't know, Doug Carter.
Yeah.
Visually, he's quite a big, imposing bloke. If he went, oh, shut the fuck up or I'll drop kick you, it looks like a threat. If I say it, it's obviously not going to happen. Yeah. So I can get away with saying some really nasty, aggressive, stupid, horrible things. And because of my stature and how I look, get away with it. So that's how it started. I suppose it was like almost like a bit of a defense mechanism, sort of getting in there before the audience did. So, and also putting the audience in a position that they knew I would fire back if they threw anything at me.
But how have you found the heckling? I want to know, because it's a question we get asked more than anything. How do you deal with hecklers? And I don't think it's massive. I don't think you get that. Don't get me wrong, I've had some dicks in the audience in the last 2 weeks, but
I had someone fall asleep on Saturday.
Yeah, but again, I think that's funny. You just
it's funny. It was a hen do. They were mashed. I haven't been heckled in the way I thought I would be very often. I thought I'd be sort of shouted at, like disability stuff. I thought I'd be called a spaz. I thought I'd get that because it's in that environment where they think it's okay to. Yeah. But I haven't. Most of the heckles early doors, I mean, I've although you say that my club set is very much based on what I did, I have dropped a lot of jokes from the early stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember the one I had about in the Olympic Village, about the guy with cerebral palsy and the girl with epilepsy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gone from the set now. I don't do that. But I did that joke once, and this woman started kicking off at me about using epilepsy in a joke. Yeah. So I don't get heckled as much as you'd think I would.
Yeah, because I don't think people do get heckled that much. But I'll tell you one thing.
Go on.
The other week, I was having an absolute blinding gig MCing, and I thought to myself, oh, this is probably the best gig of the year so far. It's only March, so like the year to go.
Hey, it's fine.
In the middle break, in the second break, I decided to set my guitar and my amp down to the car. Someone followed me out the venue.
Yeah.
And I was like, really like, I had like both my hands full. And they just gave me an absolute bollocking about how I was the worst comedian they'd ever seen. And that I'd not even tried a joke. And I was like, I've done it.
In your head, you've had a banger.
I'm there thinking I'm doing really well at this gig. But he's there. And it's like the other audience members start pulling him away. And his wife's like, you're embarrassing everyone. And I'm there like, I was like, no. I was going, oh, feedback's good feedback. He's like, you're fucking shit, mate. You're absolute and by the end, he's like spitting in my face. And he's like, his parting words are like, absolute fucking dog shit. It's like, his spit hitting me in the face.
Wow.
And then I had to go back on.
Oh, yeah, because it's first section that was.
Well, but then I was just like, is everyone having a good time? Everyone's like, yeah. I'm like,
it's mad, isn't it?
I was like, it was the kind of thing that I've only ever seen online. You know, if you put a video up, it's like you...
Well, I've had it online. I've had people kick off online. So I did tour support for Jason Manford. Yeah. And I did the CBBC joke.
Oh, yeah, the Peppa Pig.
Ish, yeah. The when my girlfriend stormed out.
Yeah.
So I did that joke, and someone in the audience really, really did not like it. They found a picture of me and Jason online and commented how I was the worst comedian she'd ever seen. She commented that on about 6 other pictures and videos. She sent me a DM on Facebook. She sent me a DM on Instagram. She sent me a DM on TikTok. Sent me a DM on X. Like, any way she could get hold of me, she sent me a message. And it wasn't copied and pasted. It was the same message, but typed out slightly different each time. So she really, it was very personal to her. And the basically her whole complaint was that you shouldn't joke about paedophilia. Now, I don't necessarily it's a very harsh subject, but the joke isn't praising paedophilia. It's a very obvious joke that it's wrong. So she said I was the worst comic she'd ever seen. Now, the irony is, Jason's opening gag is about surnames and where they come from, and how he can never trust a Dickinson.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Brilliant. And it's the same lines. It's a joke about a Dickens son. Like
we did get the joke. By the way. We knew what the joke was.
She loved Jason, but because she didn't know me, I was a terrible person for doing a joke within that realm.
You don't know what people are going through, though.
No, you don't.
And it's like, if you ever, my advice, never mention cancer or anything like that.
Well, I do about my dad's, don't I?
Yeah. And it's one of these that people just zone out because you mentioned it and you're taking them out of the room. But again, if you want to take it, if you want to hit it full on, you know.
I do. I think, because I don't joke about the cancer, because I don't joke about cancer generally, it's very specific to me and my story. Like, it's my dad. And I deliberately don't touch on other cancers. I make it very personal to my dad. I actually haven't found that many people switch off, and I actually haven't had any cancer complaints.
Well, that's good.
Which is interesting. I thought I'd get a lot more disability complaints post-gig, but what I find is that people who have got disabled kids or family members or friends with disabilities, they'll come up to me afterwards and they love what I've done. They think it's great. They're like, oh, it's great. I'll have to show you online to my whatever niece, daughter, whatever colleague. People with no links to disability have got a real issue with things that I say.
Yeah,
it's really funny.
Well, it's a weird one because they're taking it at face value, probably, which is another thing that I've always said to you. It's when you're building your material now, can you do stuff without the disability angle? Now, I know that's a huge part of your life and it affects everything in your life. I'm aware of that. Yeah. But again, it's probably, I've listened to other episodes of your pod where you've mentioned having to follow disabled acts. Yeah. And, you know, and you're finding it hard because they've used the trump cards that, and, you know, you've been outdone by people more disabled than you. Yeah. Yeah. So then it's a case of, what would you talk about? And it's like the human bit of it.
Yeah,
it's like,
100%.
Are we expecting that in your new show?
Yeah, definitely. The way I'm sort of looking at it is I'm a disabled man. So because I'm a storyteller, it's always going to be told through the eyes of a disabled man because I am. But it's not all disability punchlines. Of course, there are going to be some in there. It goes without saying. But I'm really trying hard with this new set of writing to make it more relatable to the able-bodied world so that they can see the issues through my eyes but also relate to what's going on through theirs.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to achieve. Whether I will or not, I don't know. In my head it works really well, but we'll see. We'll see.
That's the most intelligent you've ever sounded on this podcast.
Is it? Yeah. Thanks for bringing that out of me, man.
Dull as fuck?
No, that means you're bringing out the best in me, mate. That's good.
I hope so.
Yeah. I hope. Is that right? Have I sounded good there?
Sounded really good then.
Yeah, I'm actually really trying with this new writing.
That's nice because he never usually tries.
No, I just fucking blitz it down, say spastic and hope for the best.
I've got a question though because I'm just interested. You know the heckler or the guy that came and abused you in the parking lot while you were putting your stuff back. What did you do with the crowd? Was he still in the crowd when you went back?
He was still in the crowd and I didn't reference it.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so the person who was running the show actually said, because I went into the green room, I appreciate I'm name dropping lower tier, but there was a great comedian, Alan Cochrane, with the closing act.
Yeah.
And I told him exactly what had happened, and he's like, the most Yorkshire man you've ever met.
So
and he's
good.
like, just go out there and do whatever you need to get that man out of your head. Because if that gets stuck in your head, you'll start believing it. And then the owner of the gig came in and went, oh, guys, right, the breaks took a bit longer than expected. Stevie, just bring Alan straight on. I was like, no.
But it's right when you're in that room, let's say you're in a room of 300, you will notice the one person who is not laughing.
Yeah.
Isn't it mad? Even if they're 9, 10, 11, 12 rows back, the one person who's not smiling, not laughing and shaking their head, you'll focus on that. And despite the other 299 people laughing, you'll be focused on that one person and it'll ruin your night.
So I've been done this year because what I usually do, if I ever see anyone like that, I'll always say, you gentleman with the bad body language. And I think to myself, why are you doing this? You've been brought up, never talk to anyone that's got their arms folded, never anyone that's not looking at the stage. But in my head, I'm like, no, I'm going to talk to you.
Yeah, it's like red rag to a bull, isn't it?
And then
like
sometimes I will turn it around and I'll go, oh, sorry, I didn't realise I was doing that. But then I had one the other month and I knew people in the crowd. Right. And again, it was my second best gig of the year. So there's a common theme going on here.
Yeah.
And I said to him, there was another bloke with him and two women on a table of 4. And I'm like, the Britain's Got Talent judges,
Great.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's hack, but
it works.
It's like if they're on the couch, the Gogglebosh.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you do? And he's like, well, if I was on Britain's Got Talent, I wouldn't think this is very good. Oh. And I was like, and then I knew that I knew people in there. And I'm saying, are you kidding, mate? I was like, this is the best it's ever gone, right? And then he just doubled down and went, no, it is in fact very poor. And then the whole audience were like, is this poor? And I'm like, no, this really. And now I'm like, I've already said that line, but this is the best it's ever been.
That's fucking great. I love that. Yeah. But it is bad, isn't it? How just one person could just derail you completely. But everyone would give you the same advice as well. Every comic would say to you, just ignore that person. The rest of them are enjoying it. Crack on, crack on, crack on. You'd say it to me if I was in the green room. If you were doing a set and I was comparing and there was that one person, you'd say the same to me. But in that moment, you can't get out your head.
Yeah.
And it just stays with you. It's
the amount horrible. Of times, bearing in mind, I've been MCing now a lot for the past 10 years. Yeah. And I will say to an act, there's a dickhead in the crowd. He's on the front row, on your left-hand side, wearing a green jumper.
Yeah.
You'd be best advised not to talk to him. Yeah. And the act comes out and will say, oh, good evening, Telford, Derby, Manchester. Yeah, my name's Ricky. What's your name, mate?
Yeah,
and
it
it's
goes
just
straight
like, oh my God, why? And they just completely derail it. And then at the end, they'll come up and go, oh, yeah. You did mention, don't.
Yeah, there's a reason I said that. Yeah. I did a gig in Telford. It was a new venue, and there was a bloke on the front row, and he had a black tattoo on his finger. It wasn't his wedding ring. It was the next one. He had a load of dates over his hand. He looked. Anyway, it turns out that it was. I'd told the acts to stay away from this person because it was a bit difficult. I'm not going to say names, but they went on, asked them about the black ring, and it turns out originally it was the date of their kid's birth, but the kid had died, so he had it blacked out over it. And it's just like, yep, that's why I said stay away from that person. Yeah. The room just went, and we never am on there again.
Although I think you do learn a lot from comedy and MCing. Because I'll tell you one thing I learned. If you have tears tattooed on your face. I didn't.
Did you not know?
No. Yeah. So I went to this bloke. I was in one of my jovial moods. I was like, "Oh, got tears on your face, have you? Are you really sad? And 3 tears on your face." And everyone else in the crowd is like this, and I'm like, "Ooh."
Oh no. That's
even worse. Right. So. You've done my gig in Enderby, Leicestershire. It's the tiny little coffee shop.
Yeah, the little coffee shop, yeah.
I said to this one bloke,
I don't know why I did that.
It's that big. It is that big. It's like everyone's crammed in.
But if you're watching and you're around there, it's a great gig. Go to it.
Enderby, Mill Hill Cask and Coffee. But I said this, asked this one man, what do you do for a living? And he's like, retired now. What did you used to do? Police. What exactly did you do in the police? And he went, detective. I was like, detective, okay. So what did you specialise in? He went, DNA. And then there was like this weird small ripple of applause, and I was just like, guys, I was like, you can't applaud that. DNA, he could be wiping spunk off a windscreen, that kind of thing, right? No, people were laughing at that. I went, go on, talk to me about DNA. And he's like, I was the chief detective in the case which first put somebody behind bars using DNA evidence. I was like, this is brilliant. Great. I was like, who did you put behind bars? And he went, Colin Pitchfork. And then I knew nothing about this, right? So again, in one of my little playful MC roles, I went, Colin Pitchfork? Sounds like the biggest nonce you've ever heard. Colin Pitchfork. And I was like this going, who are you? Colin Pitchfork. Colin Pitchfork. Who's coming, children? Colin Pitchfork. And it's silence. And I was thinking to myself, I was going like, can you imagine that? Kiddies! Colin Pitchfork. Turns out he'd killed these 2 children. But the parents of the children still drink in the place I was telling the joke, and also the family of Colin Pitchfork still live in the village, and they also go in the pub. And it's like the whole crowd was silent, and I was just like, but because I didn't know. Yeah. I was like, anyway, it's lovely to have you here. Round of applause for the detective, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, it was Steve Day on, and I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Steve Day. And I went and sat down, and the owner's just like, you've got no idea what you've just said, mate. He's like, but he was like, but he's got a really dark sense of humour. He went, you've got no idea what you said, but it was fucking hilarious.
Love that. I don't know about you, but I need a fucking break after hearing that story. So we are going to go for a quick word from the sponsors. I'm going to probably have another cup of tea because I need to digest what I've just heard. Stick around, see you in a few minutes. Bye-bye. If you're into Pokemon, Warhammer, Yu-Gi-Oh, Dungeons and Dragons, or anything like that, get yourself down to Triple C in Siston, Leicester, where they can take care of all of your needs. They're also a CGC specialist, so if you find any comics or cards knocking around in your grand's attic, get them over there, get them graded, and you never know, you might be sat on a fortune. If you're listening to this podcast, you get 10% discount on all of the CGC products using code UnstableCGC10, and they'll give you 20% off all of the Warhammer products using discount code Unstable20. Thanks very much. Back to the pod. Welcome back to part 2 of the Unstable podcast. Stevie hasn't left us. That's good news because we have a habit of losing guests halfway through. Yeah. No, I lied. Just making it up. Thanks for sticking around, mate. So, I want to make it a bit about you and talk about you. What got you into comedy, bud?
So, I always loved comedy growing up. It's like my mum and dad were massive fans of comedy, but also like the Northwest kind of sense of humour, and they used to go to, say, social clubs, and when they were growing up, obviously Manchester in the 70s was all like Bernard
Sorry,
Manning.
you're saying about the Northwest, but is that where you grew up?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
I'm Oldham, so I'm Oldham, Greater Manchester.
I didn't know. So you say Northwest, and I'm thinking he's fucked up here. It's Northeast.
No, I'm
right.
Oldham, so yeah, Greater Manchester. But I'm from a family or generations of the, you know, weekends spent in the working men's club where they'd have an act on, and that whole Manchester scene of comedians and bands and all that. So yeah, I was brought up, because it's a strange one, because when people say, what comedians did you like? And you start saying, I was brought up, you know, with the 1970s, like Bernard Manning, Frank Carson, Ken
Chubby
Goodwin.
Brown.
And again, Chubby Brown, you know, it was a huge part when I was growing up, because he was massive. Huge. And he'd have his songs out, you know, because I used to get like bootleg cassettes, which would have like all the latest dance songs on, like from Ibiza, but on the B-side, it was like Chubby Brown doing his latest hour, and it was just filth. And it was... like, obviously turn it down so your parents don't hear it. But again, it's wrong, because lots of people now dismiss that ever happened. But at school, people used to be able to recite those routines. Billy Connolly routine. Don't get me wrong, I'm not putting Billy Connolly in the same bracket as Manning, Chubby Brown. But again, you kind of absorb all of this. Yeah,
there's a story, and I'm not going to name the act because they're great, but their first gig was at the Frog and Bucket Gong Show, and they literally did 5 minutes of someone else's material, and what's his name, Dan Nightingale was the compere, and sort of went into the green room afterwards and said, you know, what are you doing? And this guy's like, oh, that's what I thought you did. Like, he just had no idea. And I'll tell you the name off air, and you'll be really surprised.
Really?
Because they're right up there. Really, really fantastic comic, like really well known. But yeah, that was their first thing.
But I think people don't know. They don't know the logistics.
It like joke theft and stuff is. It's such a. It's horrible. Like you do what you create yourself. That's the art, and people just don't get that.
Exactly.
But Chubby Brown actually was not ironically, but inspired me a little bit. I don't know if you ever saw it, but really, really early doors, I got people to shout, "You spack bastard."
Yeah.
Do you remember that? And obviously I've dropped that now because I've realised how atrocious it was. But because Chubby Brown had that thing, "You fat bastard," they'd all chant that at him when he went on stage. I thought, I'll take that, twist it, and that could be my thing. Terrible idea. But that's how ignorant I was, and I've dropped that bit now.
I was going to say, I remember going to watch Chubby Brown a few times, and every time I watched him, he'd had to walk off stage, like, because he wasn't even playing to a real crowd. He was playing to people that are like 6, 7, 8 pints in, you know, and it's they just want. He just seems to draw out the worst. Oh,
he's just possible. Mikey's just doing the 6, 7 thing there off. Yeah.
Oh, that's how my 6, children 7. Would love that. But I remember seeing an interview with Kevin Bridges years ago where, and he was saying that because those comics have gone now, Glasgow especially, he's replaced the Chubby Brown person, so he's now getting the idiots coming to watch, and a lot of the social media guys, you know, that have made it big, who are aimed at kind of lads in the 20s and 30s. Yeah. I've played a couple of their gigs and they're a lot of fun. Yeah. But again, I'm not sure I'd want to be facing like a coked up drunken bunch of blokes every night. Imagine the people who go and watch Jamie Hutchinson. I mean, I've got so much time and respect for him. He's great. Amazing. But here's the demographic that will be buying tickets to go to his tour show. That's a fucking challenge unless you're Jamie Hutchinson. But he is so good. He's a real artist, you know. So good. He could, like, it makes me laugh, the audience he's got, because he's so talented that he brilliant. But again, I love that. I love the fact he drops in like pure football and boxing references. Yeah, he's just lent into that completely, and he's brilliant. He's such an artist, as you say. He's great. I'm really pleased that he's doing well for himself. You know, it's great to see. Sorry, we're going on about you getting into comedy, but we sort of gone off track. So you're inspired by all these people in the Northwest. That, and then I used to collect VHS videos. Okay. and later on DVDs and blah blah blah. But used to like send off for them. So when eBay first came out, it was like a haven for me. So I ended up with like 200 VHS videos of everything, all kinds of comics.
Yeah.
And then I loved it, and I always said I'd try it myself, and then I never did. And I had the chance at uni and never did it.
Right.
And then I was about 5 years into my first ever job, just walking through the town centre at lunch, and someone stopped me and said, "Hey, have you ever thought about starting stand-up?" Right. I was like, "What do you mean?" They said, "Oh, we're running a course tonight at the local theatre group."
Right, okay. It was one of those ultra courses?
No, it was just two blokes had been on a course in London, been on the Amuse Moose course in London, and then decided they wanted to try something I was living in Woking in Surrey.
Okay.
And the name was John Sove and Terry Fromant, and they had they've long been out of the game.
Right, okay. Yeah.
But they were all actors, and they'd set up their own little Terry the Stand-Up Presents with a picture of a dog with its tongue out.
Right, okay.
Everyone's got a backdrop with a word something on.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I went on this course, and it was a very, very basic, like 2 hours, write down 10 things you love, write down 10 things you hate. Now, say them, but crank it up to 11, why you really love them. And then it's like, take the ones you love, and now pretend you hate it. And it was saying, right, you're taking the emotion towards something and you're getting the laughs out of changing the emotion. Okay. And I did it, and it was great. And I was like,
that's a real interesting concept.
And that was just 2 hours. And then they said to me at the end, they went, "Did you enjoy that?" I said, "I loved it." And they went, "Oh, well, there's this course in London, Amuse Moose." They said, "It's expensive." It's taught by a guy called Logan Murray. Go and do that. Oh, if you don't know Logan Murray.
I don't know Logan, no.
He's got the handbook of how to do comedy, not like the Idiot's Guide, but very similar.
Yeah.
It's great book, really worth them.
I might give it a read. It might help me out.
It'll really help you with your debut show.
Okay.
But I went to do that, and it's a lady, Hills Jago. You might not know her, but your listeners will know her if they're into comedy. And she's one of the big promoters down in London.
Right.
So she discovered Rob Beckett and Ramesh.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So and then that course was incredibly good. But the thing it does more than anything, which is why I always say to people, a lot of people look down on comedy courses, but for me, even if it's a badly taught course, the main thing you get out of it, you're stuck in a room with like 8 or 9 like-minded people. Yeah. At the end of it, there's 10 of you.
Yeah.
Some will drop out, but you'll have a handful that'll say, right, let's go and do some gigs. Yeah. And then they'll either set up their own night, or they'll go and do an open mic and then say to you, "Oh, I've just done this, come and do this." And
it's a
then
network.
It's all networking. It's one of the things you don't realise. Just having that support network of, I've just had a shock, I've just had a terrible gig. I don't know if you've got people you can phone on the way back from gigs.
It's mad because, like you said earlier, and I don't mean this arrogantly, but like the people who I sort of started with, I've kind of overtaken. So I haven't ever had that network, because if I'm telling people that, I've just had a tough one at the Frog and Bucket, and they've just done a 5-minute gong show, they don't give a shit. Do you know what I mean? It's so no, I've never really had that network that I have always had. Doug Carter, always had Doug. He was there at my very first gig. He helped me out a lot early doors and sort of introduced me to a lot of people. And now I'm sort of where I am. I'm doing the same for him, and it's a really nice thing. And we're mates.
Great act, by the way, absolutely.
Yeah, I love Doug. He's been on this 3 times, I think. He did season 1, and then he did one earlier in the year, and then he's just been diagnosed with MS, as you might know. So he came on to talk about that last week or the week before. But so I've always had Doug, but I've not had that network. Like, I've not come up with a group of people, if you know what I mean. It's been a bit. I've never had that. No.
You got people you can ring. You can always.
Oh
ring,
yeah.
You can ring
I could ring you. I could ring Doug. Love Dev. So I've got people that I could.
Why that you don't say my name?
Well, but it's because I don't expect you to be awake at 1 o'clock on a Sunday morning when I'm travelling back from Southampton.
I'm not sat editing at 1 o'clock in the morning. Never happens.
No, I guess. Sorry, I thought it was something else. Then we'll edit that little look out. But no, I didn't think that you'd be. I didn't think you'd be awake at that time. If I've had a bad gig, if you want me to phone you at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, mate,
I'd love to hear about your fails.
Yeah, all right. Well, then we can add Mikey in there now. Yeah. But likewise, but we could speak actually. We don't do that post gig phone call, do we? But we could.
Not often.
Every time you die, I expect a phone call now, mate.
Yeah, it's more when I'm being...
I don't know if you'll have enough minutes on your contract.
It's more being threatened in the car park. It's like, what have the audience members shouted at you? Yeah. That doesn't happen. It's so bizarre. I think I changed my act throughout the years to avoid dying, but at the expense of smashing gigs. So now I think...
Right.
I'm going to quote Hills Jago again, the London promoter, who said, you don't have to constantly smash gigs. All you need is to be consistently good. She said, and you'll get further than if you go out. And I know, listening back to when you get the people on this podcast, Roger Swift's name gets dropped so often.
Yeah.
But when you've got an act like that who could go either way, and they could either smash it really hard or die. Yeah. And it's like, do you want the highs and lows of it, or do you just want to be good?
As a promoter, you can't risk that. You can't always risk that, because it's with Roger, and he wouldn't mind me saying this, I'd say it to his face, he knows he could go on and rip it, or he'll die.
Yeah.
And there's never a middle ground with Rog. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Consistency is going to get you far further than being an up-down act.
But Rog can do both in the same gig. He can die, really, smash it, and die, and then smash it again.
I love it when it starts going well for Rog, and then it starts dipping. It's that moment that I love. And I've told him this. I think he should change his act a little bit and turn it into that, because I love it when the prop doesn't work and he goes, well, that's 5 minutes of my life I'm never getting back. I think that should be his act. It should be doing deliberately bad jokes, but the laugh comes from the reaction of him losing it, that it's gone wrong. And I think if he lent into that, I think his success rate would get higher, and I think he'd fly.
I remember being interviewed years ago, going back about 5 or 10 years, and the interviewer asked me, they were like, so who do you reckon is the best comedian in this region at the minute? I was like, Scott Bennett. I said, by a country mile. I said, probably followed by Josh Pugh very closely. I said, but Josh was really new at this point.
Okay.
I said, but yeah, Scott. And they were like, so he's the best. So he's your favourite, is he? And I was like, no. I said, bizarrely. I said, no, it's not. I said, because you know what he's going to do, and it's going to be amazing.
Yep.
I said, probably my favourite is Roger Swift. And they're like, we don't know Roger Swift. And then I was trying to and then I showed them videos, and they're like, how is that your favourite? I was like, because you got no idea.
You don't know
what's going to happen, because you know the jokes, but it's like, it could go either way. This. And like, for me, I love that.
Yeah. Because, if you book Scott, they're going to love him. The audience are going to love him. You're going to have a good time. It's going to be great. But I agree with what you're saying. As someone in the audience, if it wasn't my night, if I was if I put it like this, if I was opening and I wasn't on a double and Roger was in the middle, I'd stick around. I would stay, just not to watch Rog, to watch the audience. Because I'd love it for Roger if he did well, and I'd love it for myself horribly if he didn't. And it's, as you say, you just never know what you're going to get with him. And there are a few acts like that on the circuit. And they are the fun ones to watch, as you say.
Is Roger the one with the TV?
Yeah.
Oh, he took the TV.
He took the TV and just didn't. There was nothing. He's like, I just wanted to. Just stayed in the car. It was so funny. Have you got any funny gig stories or deaths or any particularly good stories? Because you've been going a lot longer than me. I love hearing about these random car shares or anything.
I think my gig stories, the one that drives me is, I was 6 months into comedy and I ended up in one of the finals of a big competition for FHM.
Okay.
And along the way,
FHM.
So FHM, the lads mag.
Yeah. So
FHM and Jonglers had a competition together.
Of course they did.
Both of them have.
Of course they did. Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I remember submitting my application, and over the next few months, FHM started publishing my jokes, and then they had this competition, and it was FHM Stand Up Hero, and I had to go and do different events all over the different jonglers in the country. And I remember once it was like you versus me versus Ivo Graham.
Oh, right.
And I ended up beating him.
Did you?
To be fair, he was at Oxford and it was in Oxford.
Right.
But he came to the gig dressed in a toga. He's like, I've just come from a fancy dress party. And then got changed into normal clothes, did the gig, and then got changed back into a toga and left.
Brilliant.
And so I got to this final, and the final was at Battersea.
Okay.
And I just went out and died. They needed 8 minutes. I only had 5. But it was filmed for ITV.
Oh.
And then they rang me up and asked me, how did it? They were like, oh.
Sorry, who rang you up?
ITV rang me up and said, are you okay for us to put this out? And I was like, oh, well, the show didn't go very well. And they were like, oh, don't worry about that. It's fine. We've got the editors. And yeah, ITV just had me die. And it was a bad gig. The bus. It was a really bad gig. And they made it look worse. And I had friends in the crowd as well who still couldn't make it appear better.
Oh, bastards.
They got Ed Byrne and Brendan Burns in like Monday Night Football, to assess why it was so bad. And then I was doing so well on the London circuit at that point. And then suddenly promoters were like, oh no, we saw you on TV. We don't want to book you. And yeah, that
hurt 6 months in.
Yeah, I very nearly quit at that point.
I bet.
But I think it's the fact that I kind of want to prove Ed Byrne wrong.
Yeah.
But the more I keep going,
fuck you, Ed Byrne.
I've done this. I've done all of this. I think I've gone through the 7 stages of grief or whatever, and now I'm accepting it. And if I go back, I've actually got the footage, but I've not got the heart to look at it.
Please send it me.
But what I need to do is, if I look back at it, the advice they were giving would be great advice. And if we got a brand new comic here now, and they said this was my set last night, and we had to analyse it, I think we would probably give similar advice.
Right, okay.
But when you're not ready for it, and then when you tell everyone, I'm on TV tonight, and it's... But yeah, anyone
and when they've promised that they're going to edit it so it doesn't look too bad, and then they throw you under the bus, that's a wanky move.
But yeah, I learnt a lot from that.
Have you ever thought about BGT?
I wouldn't do it based on
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not worth it.
Because I think that your style would work well for BGT.
Yeah, but my style, like I said, I've got it to a point where I don't die that often, touch wood. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, not every gig's amazing, but most gigs are good. But when I die, for some reason, my deaths are spectacular. The whole thing unravels.
Oh, really? I've never seen you die.
No,
I've never seen you have a bad one.
I've got it down. The chances are now lower, but yeah, 1 in 50, 1 in 100 is just really, really, but like to the point where it's like, do I just walk? And I think I would walk now, but
oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you not like the BGT audience? Do you not think they'd be right up your street? I really do.
I think I'm ruder than.
I think ITV owe it to you though as well.
I think they do actually. If they're listening, if you're listening to ITV, you owe it me.
Yeah, I think you'd fly.
I think you would.
Yeah,
I think your style really would. I know you say you think you're ruder and that, but your Pirates thing, for example. Imagine getting one of the judges on stage with you. Fantastic.
Yeah, Johnny Awesome did it though, and the thing, I looked at Johnny Awesome's set. Do you know Johnny?
I know. I don't know him well.
Brilliant musical comedian. And for me, what I think he did was he got through to the 4 yeses.
Yeah.
And then you have a semi-final and then a final. I think he was holding something massive back for the final.
100%.
And didn't get through. Whereas I think what he could have done is do his showstopper in the semi-final, make sure he's in the final, and then do
whatever.
Yeah. But I think he needed to have done that because he could have walked that.
Yeah.
Likewise, Steve Royle should have.
Steve Royle, yeah, absolutely. Do you know my BGT story?
No.
They asked me to do it. And I turned it down the 1 year. Then they asked me again the following year. And I said, yeah, right. I said, let's have a chat. So I went down and spoke to the producers and they said, yeah, we'll give you, they said they'd give me sort of 3 or 4 minute VT before going in front of the judges, which is a huge amount of screen time on BGT. And I said, look, if you do it, I don't want to be a sob story. Like in the VT, it's just going to be a lad from the Midlands. You can see me going to the pub with my mates, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to be a sob story. If my exact words to them were, if you play the violin. Do you know what would really help us grow is if you could subscribe to the channel and like the videos. It'll cost you nothing and it really helps the podcast to grow. My VT, I'll lose my shit. And I had this big plan because if you get to the final, it's something like 9 minutes you have to do. So I had this plan of basically an underlying joke that Simon loves having comics on because the budget for the performance is so little compared to the dancers and, you know, all everything else. And then the plan was, if I got through to the final, it was going to be this massive performance. It was going to be indoor fireworks, flamethrowers. I was going to be in a hoist flying around the room, and it would have been good. But the week of the that I was supposed to go and do it, they phoned me and asked me for pictures and videos of when I was in hospital, so they could get the VT ready. And I was like, I'm tapping out. I'm not doing it. Yeah. You've not listened to a thing I've said. I'm tapping out. So I just didn't go.
Yeah. I've thought of another story based on this.
Yeah,
when we were going on about the sub-stories. My gig, Little Eton, not a million miles from where we are now, Derby.
Yeah.
So there's a boy, he's only about 20.
Have I done it?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you've done it. Yeah. We did it with Danny Postil.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know the room. Yeah.
So
he's been on here.
Postil.
Danny
yeah. Great. Another brilliant, I know I say another brilliant act, but there are very few dicks
on the Patreon. We'll go through the acts that he doesn't like.
Yeah.
Right.
But I had Steve Royle playing my venue, but there's a boy who's there. He's 20 years old, got a cochlear implant, I believe it is. So
is that on the ear?
Yeah, so he's deaf, but with that, it helps him hear.
Like, yeah.
And I was on stage doing a bit and then introduced Steve Royle to the stage. And when I got to the back of the stage, this lad's dad comes to me and he's like, Stevie, is there any chance you can have a word with the comics so that they have their lips just that little bit over the microphone, you know, because my son, he's deaf and he lip reads them. Right. And I was like, yeah, no worries. I said, I can tell all the other comedians. I just can't tell Steve Royle because he's already on stage.
He's there. Yeah.
Steve Royle, he's like juggling, he's doing all his jokes. Amazing. Finishes, all the crowd are like, more. I was like, brilliant. Steve Royle was like, you want more? Okay, I'll do a bit more for you. And then he does a 10-minute ventriloquist routine. And it's just like the most incredible thing. He's like, how did I not tell his...
Oh, no. Amazing.
Yeah,
that's brilliant. Great. Because you 18 years you're in the game. You must have some other stories like that for us, because I love hearing these stories.
Yeah,
I love them. I love it when things go wrong. Like leaving a gig now, and you're probably the same. Like you'll have your phone calls or whatever. Like I'm speaking to Doug or whatever. I don't want to hear if they've had a good one. It's like, oh yeah, great. I had a great gig tonight. How'd you go? Yeah, roofed it. Fine, cool. It's the ones that goes bad that I really get into, the nitty gritty. Like I want to be on the phone where they're thinking about driving off the bridge. Do you know what I mean? Like when they had the gig that bad that they just want to fucking end it.
I had one in Essex many moons ago where I was telling a story about a gig I had, and the punchline of the joke, not my joke, and I make this clear, was why was Jesus popular with the ladies? Because he was fucking hung like this, right? So that's the joke.
Yeah, great.
Anyway, another time, the only other time I've ever been followed out to the car park, this bloke follows me out to the car park, and the gig went all right. It wasn't good, it wasn't bad. But he just like shouting at me, he was like... Jesus will judge you. God will judge you. And I was like, well, as long as he doesn't judge me on that performance, I'll be all right. And he's like, how dare you use the holy text? And I was like, what? And he had this copy of the Bible in his hand. And I said, it's just an act. It was just a story. And the story happened in real life. It's just a story. And he just twatted me around the face with his Bible. Yeah, like really smashed me around the side of the face. And then me, because he was an old man, right? And you wouldn't expect it. And at the time, I was younger and I was fitter. And even though I'm not a strong or violent person, I knew if I wanted to, I could have battered him had I wanted to, but it's not who I am.
Yeah, fair.
But then I thought, I'll get the moral high ground on this one. And I went, well... being a good Christian like I am, I'm going to turn the other cheek. And he twatted me round the other cheek.
The other side.
Yeah. It's madness.
How did that end? Like, so he's just hit you on both cheeks. At what point did you both turn away? Like,
I just walked from that.
Because
he was an old man. He wasn't like a properly old man.
Oh.
And it's never going to end good, you know. No. What can you do?
You're in a lose-lose situation there. If you hit a religious old man... because he's corrected you on use of the word Jesus and Jesus joke. You're in a lose-lose situation, aren't you? One of my worst deaths, I don't know if you remember the original version of my umbilical cord joke. The original version, and I don't mind saying it now, is that I got the umbilical cord wrapped around my throat. I got stuck when I was born, umbilical cord wrapped around my throat, and my mum, let's be honest, that lazy bitch should have pushed harder. That was the original joke. Yeah. And I did it for ages. And I did it. It was one of Greg's rooms, actually. I was closing it. Was I opening or was I closing? Doesn't matter. I was at this gig. And that was one of my opening jokes. The audience, I would say 95% female, hated me after that joke. And I spent the next 18 minutes trying my hardest to win.
2 minutes in.
Mate, it's like my opening. I go in, I moan about the stage, and then I say, right, this is how I got disabled, the umbilical cord. My mum was a lazy bitch. Mate, I tried everything. I tried a bit of crowd work. I tried just doing random hacky jokes that I'd heard, like compares did. Oh, they hated me. It was a real tough. I remember looking up at Greg at one point, and he was like that. Just hiding behind. I was like, I'm trying everything here. And then I was thinking, and it was quite early doors for me as well. I was thinking, do I just leave? Like, they're not enjoying it. Do I just leave? Like, will the promoter be pissed off? Like, no, I've got to stay on here for my time.
This is like the Ed Byrne thing. Yeah. When I did badly, he came on and said, one thing you can do in that situation is say, well, this is going well, but you can only say it once.
Yeah.
When you're doing it 3 minutes in,
man, it was painful, but it was good for me.
Yeah, you need those to learn.
Because that joke in hindsight is quite offensive, and my mum was okay with it, but it could be perceived as a sexist, like women are not going to like that joke, and I get it. The new version's much better, and it is, and in hindsight, I shouldn't have needed that lesson, but you do need these lessons to learn these things. Sometimes you need that bad 20 minutes on stage to realise that you've said something that you really should not have said.
I thought of one more
please,
bad gig story.
Please.
So I was about 3 or 4 years into comedy, and I got offered this gig, and it was near Glastonbury. It was Yeovil, right? So
Yeovil,
So Yeovil, and they were like 250 quid to open cash, and I was like, that was
great.
Way more.
That's really good money now.
Now it's what you're expecting. So I was like, of course I'll do this. So I turn up in Yeovil, and it's 25 quid a ticket, and there must be 600, 700 people in. It was absolutely ginormous, much bigger than anything else I was doing.
And sorry, how long had you been in comedy at this point?
I think this is about 2012, so about 3 or 4 years.
Okay, yeah, so yeah.
So I'm like, right, I'll look at it, and I was like, oh, okay, I had things on my side. I was like, I can do this. And I go out, and my opening joke doesn't land. Then my next joke doesn't land. And then someone gets up, and I went, hey, where are you going? This bloke just goes, going for a piss. I was like, oh, okay. And then someone else gets up. I'm like, where are you going? He's like, I'm also going for a piss. And then another person got up, and I'm like, where are you going? And they're like, I'm going for a piss. And it's like Spartacus, more people getting up. And they were like, I'm going. And I just turned into a person just asking people. I'm like, oh, wait, they're going for a piss. They're going for a piss. Everything I did went wrong. There should have been a break, but they had 2 acts in the middle, and they sent the middle act on. They sent one of the middle acts on. It's like, go and rescue this gig.
Save it.
So I'm backstage, and I was like, right. The man was like, here you go, here's your money. But when it's like reluctant, and I've not done a good job there. I had my wife with me. And I was like, right, how'd you get out? And they're like, you've got to walk back past 700 people, to get out of the venue. No. And I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And then they went, or you can go through these fire doors. And I was like, oh no, I'm not doing that. They went, because there's a chance it'll set the fire alarms off. I was like, I'm not going to do it.
I'd have taken the chance.
Brian Damage and Crystal were on the bill. Brian Damage, they're in Australia now. Brian Damage went to me, Stevie, I'll open the door for you. Do you want to go out the fire door? I was like, would you? I said, yeah, I don't want to go back through that.
Yeah.
He opens the fire door. The whole venue.
No.
They evacuate the entire venue. Me and my wife go out. To get to the car, we have to walk past the 700 people that are now already out of the venue. And it's like, I'm getting in the car, and they're all like, that's that wanker, he was shit. He was so shit. It's like, oh no.
That's amazing. I love that. Yeah. I love that. Have you ever done Wentfest?
No.
So I did Wentfest the year before last. And I don't know if you know how it works, but Wentfest, they've got the comedy tent and everyone's doing 20 minutes consistently throughout the day. And Joe Zalias was the compere.
Yeah, great,
so he's there all day. Yeah, brilliant. And he's there all day in his compere and And the tent was full. The tent was full. And there's one act going on before me. Now, I'm not going to name this act because actually I really like them and they are a good act. They went on and fucking cleared.
Oh, no.
Cleared the tent out within 10 minutes of their 20.
Oh, no.
There was about 6 people left. And rather than just leaving, they carried on and did it, got off stage, and they went, that was bad, wasn't it? I was like, yeah.
Oh.
And then I had to go on and gig in front of about 4 people, and 2 of them were kids.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And Joe, bless him, he did his best to try and like shout, because it's only in the tent. He did his best to sort of like shout and get everyone back in, but it was...
Because I've done that. I've emceed music festivals. Earlier,
we're doing Bearded Theory together.
Oh, we are, yeah. I'm not comparing this year.
Are you not?
Give me my favourite band, Pixies, are on.
Oh, sick.
So I said to Spiky Mark from Funhouse, I said, you know, if anyone, because I wasn't booked, and I was like, I know I've done this 4 times now, but if anyone drops out, please, I'll do anything. I'll do bespoke stuff. And he's like, give me like what he's reserved for open spots. So I've got a 10-minute spot at a festival.
Oh, really?
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't do it for the money, I do it for the festival.
Yeah, do it. Fair, that's fair.
But
wicked.
We were chatting earlier about Saturday Night Live, which is just this week aired in the UK. And I mentioned Larry Dean.
Larry, yeah.
So I was closing, in my first 2 years, closing this music festival. They had a comedy stage on, which was on like midnight till 2 a.m. Blissfields, it was called, Hampshire.
Okay.
And I went out the first night, headlined it, and it was brilliant. And I was like, you know what? Amazing. I think Freddie Quinn was on, a very, very young Freddie Quinn.
Yeah.
And then they said to me, that was so good. Our MC for tomorrow has pulled out. Would you like to MC? I said, I've never MC'd in my life. And they went, oh, it doesn't matter. You know, you can just MC it. Just do your stuff that you've done tonight.
Sure, it'll be fine.
Exactly. Yeah. I've winged it for 16 years after that. Anyway, I wake up the next morning and I was saying to my wife, I'm like, this is amazing. But when I woke up, I was like, oh. And my wife's like, oh, what's going on with your voice? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you're not talking. Hence the Flask.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? I'm not. She's like, your voice is gone. I was like, oh no, I was supposed to be emceeing the comedy stage. Anyway, I went to go and see these acts, and there was like some other comedians in there at this festival. One of them said to me, hey, I've got a trick. I know a tip.
Cocaine.
No, he was like, you know port? I was like, yeah, the drink. He's like, yeah, the drink, the fortified wine.
Yeah.
If you have a shot of port, you get 5 minutes of your voice back. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, if you have, no, old wives' tale. He's like, have a shot of port, you get 5 minutes of your voice back. So I was like, okay.
So
I drive out of this
drive
out of this music festival, find a supermarket, buy a bottle of port, like 75 CL, get back, right, gets to like midnight till 2 a.m. So just before midnight, 10 to midnight, I'm like, right, I'm going to have 2 or 3 shots of this, bang, bang, bang.
15 minutes, good to go.
Yeah, I don't know if it's cute like that. So I go on, I'm like, good evening, Blissfields Festival. Yeah, we've got, I think I had something like 15 acts for you in the next 2 hours because everyone's doing 5 minutes. First act goes on, bang. Second act, bang. And then before you know it, down this bottle, I've downed an entire bottle of port. Bearing in mind, I've been on the beers in the afternoon. I don't really drink now when I'm gigging. It gets to Larry Dean closing this show, and I'm absolutely off my face.
Spanned.
Like, properly off my face. And I was just like, right, I've got a guitar.
It's Dean Larry.
Oh, you know what? I would have loved that. But instead I was like, right, I've got a guitar. Give me a request. And someone shouted, Britney Spears. I was like, randomly, Travis had played Glastonbury and did a cover of Baby One More Time.
Okay.
It's quite easy to play on the guitar.
Yeah.
I was like, right, I'm going to sing it if you sing along. And I'm like, oh, baby, how was I supposed? And the whole crowd are like, something wasn't right. It gets to the bit, you know, it's like, how you wanted to, tell me, baby. And I just went, everybody, storm the stage. Right? And all these people came running onto the stage and we're like,
oh no,
hit me, baby, one more time. And the whole stage collapses, like it all collapses. All the security barriers fall down. Right? It's like you got the security staff running in. They're
Larry behind the stage,
pulling people out. It's like, and then we cleared everyone. I finished the song. That's how professional it was.
Yeah, how professional I was. Yeah.
Finished it, and I was like, right, it's time for your headline comedian of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Larry Dean. And Larry just walks out, looks at the stage. The stage is just dipped in the middle with like splinters of wood coming out of it. No. The security barriers are down, and he's just stood there, he's like looking around. He's like, right, I suppose I'm just going to have to do this stood in the audience.
How the fuck do you follow that?
He did it. He did amazing.
Oh, mate, that's great. There's so much more I want to talk to you about. Are you happy to stick around for the Patreon?
Of course I am, yeah.
Fantastic, because we are running out of time. Do me a favour, mate. Just look into this camera here and tell everyone where they can find you on the socials and stuff like that.
So if you look online, if you just search for Stevie Gray, Instagram Stevie_Gray1, and I also run Flat Cap Comedy. If you type that into Google, you'll find all the results of gigs in your area.
Excellent. We'll put all that in the description box for you. Stevie, thanks ever so much. Really, really appreciate you coming on, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. I wanted to get you on for a while. Guys, if you made it this far, thank you very much. Hopefully you're enjoying the podcast. I'm being told by Mikey to look at that camera and not that camera, so let's switch. Thanks ever so much for watching. We're going to go over to Patreon now. It's still just £1 a month for the first 1,000 Patreons, and that's for the lifetime of your membership. So go to patreon.com/Ricky's Unstable. All that money gets put back into the podcast so we can grow and bring you bigger and better things. I understand times are hard at the minute, and if you can't afford the pound, then please just like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. Anything you can do helps the algorithm push it all out, and we really appreciate that. So thanks very much. We're going to go over to Patreon now. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Say bye, Steve.
Bye.